Hi, everybody. So the class today is concerned with this question: how do we model science communication? How has it been modeled in the past? We start with this problem or this issue. There are many different forms of science communication. Public communication of scientific information happens anywhere from science museums to science festivals to popular science magazines. Are there ways in which we can capture all of this diverse activity, in which we can think about it and conceptualize it and perhaps analyze it all together so that it becomes something coherent? And this is the problem of how we model communication. Essentially, it's the issue that we want to deal with when we try and create models or frameworks for thinking about science communication as a whole. I don't want to talk right now about models of science communication, though, because I think we have to go back a little bit further to start by thinking about how is communication generally modeled and understood. And there are a couple of things I want to say about that without going too much into communication theory. The important thing to note is that there are different ways of modeling communication. There are different paradigms in the communication research. And I just want to discuss very briefly two of these. The first is of communication as essentially information transfer. So it understands communication processes as a way in which packets of information, packets of knowledge or facts or some kind of content are moved from one place to another. So we might think about this as essentially an arrow or a line. Information is moved from one place to another, from a sender to a receiver. And of course, that might be more of a complicated process than a single arrow might suggest. You might have noise, you might have other signals coming in and mixing up the message. But essentially, communication is a way in which information is transferred. So that's one kind of paradigm, one way of imagining communication. One other important way is to think of it not so much as about arrows or transfer of information, but as something that is constitutive, something that is about the constant production of meaning in different places. So you're not so much concerned with transfer, with movement of knowledge, as the way in which such knowledge is produced at any moment through communication. So here you see the emphasis being on meaning making, on how we make sense of the world through communication. And of course, there are many kind of inputs for that meaning making, of which a particular communication process may just be one. So there's a couple of different ideas, essentially, about how we should think about communication. Should we think about it as the transfer of information, or should we think about it as something that is very context dependent, that is the constant production of meaning in any particular situation? And those models will influence the way in which we think about science communication as well.